Had some great feedback from one of our recent podcasts around what the best strength exercises for a runner, a triathlete, etc. And how I was talking about how there is no such thing. There are these wonderful kind of social media posts that tell us that that the best exercises for running are and this and that, and there's a kind of numerous versions of it. But the fact is, guys, the truth of it is, as a coach, an experienced coach that really understands that every single person that you work with is unique. The fact is, when you are working with any particular individual, the best exercises are going to be the ones that are going to get the most out of that for that individual. So whatever that individual, if that's you that's listening right now, that the best exercises are going to be the ones that are going to be the best fit for you. So what you need right now, where are you lacking right now? What do you need to be working on more? And to simply say that a series of core exercises or a series of lower body exercises are the best exercises for, it's a nice idea. But the fact is, it can actually be confusing for a lot of people when it comes to this, because they feel like they're doing all the right exercises, but they're not getting anywhere fast. And it's because they're kind of having this superficial approach. They are kind of skimming the surface. And what you really want is obviously to be dialing in on those key exercises that you're going to get the most out of to start with, but also you're going to see the quickest return in. So, for you, what you're working with right now, what you're kind of what injuries that you've had in the past, what type of sport you're playing right now. There'll be certain exercises that you're going to get a lot more from very, very quickly. And again, that's all going to be based upon like an initial analysis, that initial screening that you should be having when you first go onto a program, because obviously getting on top of this topic, getting on top of your areas of weakness, kind of really understanding where you're good or where you're not so good, guys, that's going to give you what you need, what you want to be hearing, so you can get on top of it, start working on it more, and then see an instant return, start seeing even more strength and capacity for work in those key areas. So the best exercises, when you generically throw them out, they don't really exist, okay, because it depends on what you need right now. However, what I am going to kind of talk about today, guys, and what I think it'd be fun to talk about is, when it comes to certain body parts, when it comes to certain areas of the body that we are looking to kind of develop, and a lot of people who have been injured in the past, or you're looking to develop certain qualities within the body, then there are certain exercises that are probably better than others, or what I believe are better than others, because you just get a lot more bang for your buck. You're going to get a lot. It's going to tell you a lot more about yourself and what you need to be working on, i.e. it's going to have multiple qualities to it. So it's going to have it's going to force you to have more stability, more balance, more coordination. It's going to also tell you to develop your base levels of strength. It's going to kind of ask numerous things of you. So what I thought would be fun today was to entertain it, would be to run you through the ingredients of what make up a full body program. It's something that an approach that we often follow with when we work with an endurance athlete, especially, is that we are looking to make sure that they are we're ticking all the boxes. So I'm going to run you through kind of all the key areas, and then from each of those areas, I'm going to give you probably one of my favorite exercise that I would give to potentially test and develop the kind of all those qualities that we want within a program. So let's jump straight in. All right. So first and foremost, guys, when it comes to developing you, we want to obviously, I always believe that you need a full body approach. So starting from the ground up, and probably starting with the most complex to start with, would be a plyometric drill. Okay, your ability to land and balance and control your own body weight under speed, but under kind of being able to take, to jump off, take off from the ground, produce force, but then also be able to handle your own body weight. These are really important, and we would always want these exercises to be at the beginning of a program, because we want to make sure that you're mentally fresh for it. But the one exercise I love, and I think it's a really great way of showcasing someone's competency and level of strength and conditioning, is the 2-to-1 landing drill. So where you are standing on one spot, you're taking off with two legs, and you're landing on one, and you're looking to land with a level of confidence, with a level of stability, with a level of kind of synergy between the hip. So when you take off with 2 feet, you're landing with 1 foot. I want you to be, if you can do this in front of a mirror, what you're looking for is how well you land to start with. Are you able to stick the landing immediately? Are you landing heavy, or are you landing relatively light and stiff? Do you have a slight flex in the knee, but also do you have good alignment between, from the shoulder, the hip, the knee, and the ankle? And if you're dancing all over the place, or you're stumbling all over the place, what is that telling us? What do we need to be developing? And left versus right, if you're to do 3 to 5 reps on one leg, 3 to 5 reps on the other, what do you look like? What in terms of when we compare when you compare yourself left versus right, what are we seeing? What does that reflection tell you about yourself? Fantastic, simple drill that from the elite all the way through to beginner can be very, very humbling. You can tell you a lot about where your level of confidence is, your level of competency is. So a great plyometric drill to kind of kick us off, guys, would be that 2-to-1 landing drill. There's numerous others, and in terms of the spectrum, the 2-to-1 drill is quite low. It's quite an easy one to start to build up with, starting with 2 feet, obviously, jumping up and down on the spot, then moving into that 2-to-1. You can moderate the intensity, you can moderate the height you're working at, but really, really good one to work on. Oh, by the way, with any of these exercises, guys, just head over to our YouTube channel. These will all be there for you. Below the knee, so developing the below the knee strength, a key area that we like to kind of term, but anything from the knee below, like, is an area that we just want to be, you can condition, we can develop strength in. And guess what? Most people don't, and that's why we have this epidemic of plantar fascial issues and Achilles issues and typical stress injuries, shin splints, because people just are weak and vulnerable. So below the knee, one of my favorites over the last year or so has been the tibialis raise. So being able to lift your toes, so leaning with your back against a wall, your butt kind of leaning into a wall, and this literally with your hands on your knees, elevating your toes for reps, literally lifting your toes off the ground. Great one for developing your posterior tibialis. Anterior tibialis. So you're working on your shin, in other words. Fantastic one that has come to the forefront over the last number of years through social media, etc. But just a concept that people don't think about is actually developing these areas. Single leg strength. Buzzword. I think most of us know that unilateral strength, lower body strength work is important, but single leg strength is a huge one. And all athletic training will generally have aspects of single leg training work, just because of the natural imbalances that we can pick up from our sports, from our previous injuries, etc. But the split squat, the Bulgarian split squat, or just the split squat as it's termed, fantastic one, whether you're going with body weight or whether you're going all the way through to dumbbell or barbell variations. But the split squat is a fantastic way of loading. And although it's not a single legged as such, because obviously you're keeping both legs on the ground, I'm a big believer that it is a fantastic way of loading predominantly loading one side of your body. And one of the best ones in terms of bang for your buck to develop the glute, the hamstring, the quadricep, the stability, all coordination of your body, the range of motion through the knee, the hip, the ankle. Excellent exercise for developing this. So I've had friction over the years where people say, they kind of tell me it's not a single leg exercise, but so what? It's what we look at, guys, is developing your body in isolation, and that is one of the best exercises for us to do that. Posterior chain strength. Okay, as we're moving, as you can see, guys, we're moving up the body here. Posterior chain strength, elevated single leg glute bridge, putting your back up against a bench, a couch, a bed, whatever you've got, standing on, kind of driving your weight up through one leg, and getting your hips to full extension to kind of create that tabletop in your hip with your hips. We're keeping one leg off the ground the whole way through this. One of the most potent ways of getting into your hips, your glutes, your hamstrings. And it really does humble a lot of people. Your ability to be able to perform 10, 15, 20 reps of this in a row, body weight. I question whether most people can do this from day one. However, when through a good program, you should be able to get to a place where you can punch out multiple sets, multiple reps of this exercise, and then obviously start to load it with a barbell, with weight plate, with more weight, and then we can look at kind of B stance, kind of barbell hip thrust as a progression. But elevated single leg glute bridge, back up against, so your shoulders and back are against the surface, an elevated surface, and you're driving through your foot to get your hips to full extension. Lethal in its design, but it's very humbling, especially when you're asking someone to move to a metronome beat and get your hips to full extension. 5, 8, 10 reps of that each leg can leave you with a pretty decent pump. Start moving towards 12, 15, 20 reps, and you're in an elite category already. But not much else can get into your glutes and hamstrings like that. And it's a kind of a very good bang for your buck exercise. And obviously you can do it from pretty much anywhere. Moving up the body, core, wood chops. So banded wood chop, cable wood chop, anything that gets you rotating and moving across your body, your plane, like you're kind of rotating across your body, your plane of motion. Standing with your feet shoulder width apart, sideways on to that resistance band or that cable. You could be doing this with drop knees as well to kind of take away the stability from your feet. But essentially, you're looking with arms straight, looking to rotate, bring that resistance across your midline from right all the way over across to your left, almost like 180 degrees you're traveling, but you're looking to maintain a nice square hip position. And that is going to force you to engage pretty much all of your core musculature. Your glutes are going to be engaged as you rotate through, obliques, abdominals, the whole works. And fantastic one. And again, we can apply numerous variations of this drop by manipulating your kind of stance, manipulating the resistance that you're working with. An excellent one. Back, upper back, guys, lower back, upper back. What is the king? The king of obviously developing your back will always be the pull up, the chin up. Okay, depending on the variation, what progression you're on. Some of you may be working on the supported row version at the moment, and that's fine. So using a suspension trainer or a barbell in place and hanging off it, or a set of rings. But essentially working towards the close grip chin up or the wide grip pull up, full range, full lockout, looking for that full contraction every single rep. There is nothing else that illuminates your body, that lights you up from top to tail than a pull up or chin up variation. So the chin up has to be there, number one, and for developing the back. And I would always start with the close grip and then work out towards the wide grip pull up, just for complexity's sake. Chest and shoulders, as we're coming into the last couple now. Chest and shoulders, the kneeling single arm overhead press. So taking that low lunge position, so knee on the ground to start with. So if your right knee's on the ground, I want you to take the dumbbell or kettlebell in the right hand. And what we're looking to do simply to start with is with a single arm, press that weight up overhead, directly up overhead with a single arm in that right hand. With competency and confidence, you've got to elevate that leg off the ground, and you've got to perform the reps by holding that low lunge position. That is, and whilst pressing up overhead. Holding that low lunge position whilst pressing up overhead, although the focus is obviously on developing shoulders, the isometric contraction that you're holding through your lower body, obviously putting a lot of work into you, but it's the trunk and the core midline control that is going to be, again, the most illuminating. It's going to be a showcase whether you can hold good position, strong position. It's going to see whether how much strength you have in your lower body versus your upper body. It creates a lovely way of connecting upper body with lower body. Do you have an obvious disconnect? Are you chronically weaker upper body than you do lower body? But it's telling you whether your core strength is adequate enough and your upper body strength is adequate enough to handle your lower body strength, essentially. And so what we're looking for is your ability to hold that position, that low lunge position, perform 6, 8, 10 reps each side. And again, relatively unilateral in the fact that you are kind of working almost independently both sides, and you'll see that one side you may feel more confident with, your dominant side, and as you flip the narrative over to the other side, do you still have that stability? Where do you feel vulnerable? Lower back, abdominals, shoulder strength, lower body strength. A fantastic one of just kind of dialing in on some of those key areas that you can be working on, as well as developing shoulders and upper body and upper kind of pressing power. And the last one, guys, the one obviously that probably one of the most important ones is a bilateral, so the double-legged lower body exercise. And so we looked at single leg, we looked at posterior chain, but we're looking at kind of those big squat and hip hinge patterns like the deadlift and the squat pattern. Which one do we want to go for? Well, I would always go for the double deadlift. So whether it be using dumbbells or kettlebells, guys, having a weight either side of your feet and being able to, almost like a pair of suitcases or shopping bags, and your ability to hip hinge, deadlift those weights off the ground and perform multiple reps of. But obviously there is nothing better, truly nothing better. Yes, you can do it with a barbell. Yes, you can do it with a trap bar or a hex bar. There's multiple variations you can perform, but the double dumbbell kettlebell, especially with a lot of the guys and girls we work with, like they are the most widely available top piece of equipment that we have. And so the double can be a fantastic way of just building up that deadlift strength. Okay, and the deadlift is again one of those ultimate exercises where it just, when you get to those working weights, there is nothing else better for developing your lower back, your glutes, your abdominals, your upper back, your everything, like your quad, everything just gets engaged. Your grip strength. So it's a phenomenal one. So the double kettlebell or double dumbbell deadlift would be the way I would want you guys training for the for that lower body strength over everything. So, guys, as I hope one of you guys be making notes on this one. This is kind of one of my favorite ways of this is probably one of my, if I was to kind of just sitting here this morning putting together a full body program that has the best bang for your buck, these are the exercises that I would be putting towards you. Now, obviously, this will be dependent on someone's individual kind of levels of confidence, their experience, but actually, with all of the ones that we've mentioned today, it all doable from day one with pretty much everyone you're working with, bar the plyometrics, I'd say, or bar any obvious injury that would hold someone back. But generally, all of these would start body weight with minimal weight or resistance band, and then you'd have to add that progression over time. But very, very potent list of exercises there that could all pretty much be incorporated into one program. It's a pretty full-on program to crack on with, but you could easily bring that into one day of training, looking at 3 sets of. But essentially, guys, there's a lot of value you'll see from performing those exercises. You'll especially if you have that coach's eye, or you have a level of accountability and feedback. These are the sort of things that you definitely want to be videoing and reviewing this with your and being held accountable to, so your technique's on point. You've got that, all those qualities like stability, balance, so you can keep leveling them up and you can keep improving on them. But there's a lot of scope to these, a hell of a lot of scope, and obviously with some of them there's a progression needed. Chin up, for instance, might not be the one that you can just jump into. You may need to build up to that. But honestly, guys, there's a lot of value in a lot of those exercises. But so go for it. Have some fun with those. Not sure about what they are, all of them. Head over to the YouTube channel. You can find that Strength for Endurance, and you'll be able to search those in the video content. I'll be demonstrating all of those. And then, guys, in terms of like putting it all together, the order of things, well, the kind of the neurological load, there's a logic to it, and I would always start with the plyometrics, the lower body work, and then finish with that kind of upper body work, and then finish it off with the core work. So that just to kind of give you a rough outline. But guys, it's not just about the exercises, it's about how you do them, how well you progress them, how well you integrate them into your lifestyle. And obviously that's what we would love to help you guys with at Strength for Endurance. It's how we get the results we do. Guys, as I said, always feel free to reach out. Any questions around any of these, feel free. And if you guys have got any other questions around them, I will happily answer them, and I might do a few more of these in the future. But in the meantime, guys, let me know how you get on with these, and I will speak to you soon.